Good morning, everybody. So I thought I'd jump on because I've got a bit of a busy day today. So I thought I'd jump on. We are reconnected whilst I'm going for a walk. So for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Kate and I am a trauma and narcissism informed hypnotherapist, practitioner and coach. And I help women to break free, break through and flourish to a happier and brighter future that's free from the overwhelming effects of anxiety and the stresses of life. So in this, I thought I'd do this live. There's a lot of obviously attention being brought to the Simone Biles story about dropping out of stopping gymnastics as a result of mental health, and that's something I can relate to personally. One thing, people who don't know me won't realise is that I actually, whoever's on, say hi. I actually used to run competitively when I was younger, and through my trauma work, so part of the process to address any trauma, you have to do a lot. You have to trace back through your timeline at various events to establish where the encoding took place. And there's various layers to this onion, this traumatic onion, as I call it, and we have to peel back the layers. I know there's 3 people on, say hi. And when I trace mine back, one of the things that really influenced some of my belief system, which was very much that I had to be successful to be worthy of being seen. I had to be successful to be worthy of being noticed. I had to be successful to be worthy of love. And if I wasn't successful, I was basically invisible and completely ignored. And that sort of translated into, hi Helen, hi Alex. That sort of translated as well into my love story, I suppose. And when I refer to my love story, it's what I associate. So I associated love with rejection, with being ignored, being made to feel like a failure. That's where I associated love with. Which is why I ended up with Crohn's disease, which is why I ended up with in a narcissistic relationship. It's all been a knock-on. I mean, there are obviously different layers to that as well, but a big part of that, my history that's resulted in my trauma, is when I was running competitively. So I can completely relate to what Simone is saying. When you compete at such a high standard, high level, the pressure to perform is incredible. I mean, I was 3A's county champion. I was several years in a row. I was 3A's county champion. I was inter-schools county champion 3 years in a row. Was 3A's county champion 5 years in a row. So I was very good. Without blowing my own trumpet. And there was kind of a running joke between my coach and this other girls' coach from another club. And we used to kind of take it in turns to win. And it was never by design, it was just how it seems to happen. But because my dad used to, and he wasn't doing it obviously intentionally, it was his system trying to protect himself and his wounds. So when I would win, obviously I was put up on that pedestal, and I was the best daughter in the world. I was amazing, and of course I was getting the same sort of attention from my coach. I was getting the same sort of attention from my teammates as well. But when I didn't come first, I didn't get that attention. That recognition wasn't there. That praise wasn't there from anybody. And when it came to my dad, and of course he was one of my main sources of love and security, because he missed out on the opportunity to play rugby for England because of his own mum, that kind of, by me not winning, kind of opened up his wounds, and which is why when I was winning, it was like he was winning. So he would, when I didn't win, he'd go completely go in with himself, and that translated to me as that young girl, young child, as well. If I don't win, I'm completely ignored. I'm punished if I don't win. And it was the same in school. It was the same in school. I felt very invisible in school. It was only when it came to sort of running events or the inter-schools things. Obviously being, inter-schools county champion several years in a row, then everybody wanted to know me. Everybody did. But and of course when it came to our in-house school cross countries or, sports days and things like that, everybody wanted to be on my team, because of the standard that I was at. But outside of that, I was invisible. So what had happened was my body, so what your body does is your body can create illnesses, and it can create pain. And it is a way of distracting you from that, taking your attention away from that pain. And what my body had learned what my brain had learned was that when I am ill, even if I don't win, I still get attention. So my brain had associated from then, illness gets me off the hook from being successful. And I'm not invisible. I still get attention. I still get recognised. People, I still get asked, "Are you okay?" And the arms put round you, and so suddenly I get all that attention that I got when I was winning, but I'm not winning. I'm just ill. So it is. This is why I thought I'd come on and share it, because it is so. I can relate directly to it. So what? Basically, suddenly I started collapsing in the middle of the course, every single race meet. And when I say the course, because this actually started in cross-country season. So I literally would get halfway around the course and I'd collapse in a heap. And I'd be curled up in the fetal position, and I literally couldn't stand up. And then suddenly, I'd literally have to be carried and picked up by my dad or my coach, and then suddenly the pain would go like magic. So my GP sent me to a specialist in Newcastle, and nobody knew what was wrong with me. So they put it down to just said running was doing it. So just stop running for for 6 months, and then we'll see how it goes. Then I went back and they said, well, we don't think it is running, but let's stop for another 6 months, and then we'll reevaluate it. And although I was getting little twinges, There were nothing like, obviously, when I was training and competing, because obviously I literally had to stop training and everything. So by that point, I'd been out 12 months, which is a long time for somebody who is competing at a competitive level. So when I went back, they said, well, we're pretty sure it's definitely not that. But I tell you what, why don't you just stop for another 6 months just to be doubly certain? So by that time, I've been out 18 months. And when they gave me the old clear, and they said, right, okay, you can, we're happy for you to carry on going back into running and training and everything else. I tried, and I couldn't. It was like a psychological block occurred. So whereas Simone is saying she literally couldn't do the twists, I would literally get halfway around the course, and even though I wasn't puffed out, I didn't have any stitch, I didn't have any physical pain in my tummy. It was like a little voice in my head was saying, just stop. Just stop. You can't do this. And I knew then I had to just give it in, because I think I kind of realised that I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. I was doing it to what did I enjoy about it? I think I probably enjoyed the attention from my dad is what I enjoyed. So, so this is where, it is, these things, this pressure, and Simone would have been competing and, training from a child, from a young age as well. And I know gymnastics is a sport where, parents do put a lot of press, but parents and trainers do put a lot of pressure on them from a young age. So I would imagine something like that has occurred with her, very similar to what happened with me. But that is what I've had to, part of what I've had to work on when I've been processing my own trauma. Because at the end of the day, I caught myself only 3 weeks ago. I was overwhelmed with Sophia. I was overwhelmed with a divorce situation, and I caught myself thinking it would be easier to be ill. And I actually found comfort in that. And part of me, it took comfort from it, but the other part of me was absolutely terrified of that thought. So I knew, but that had been happening all along. It had been happening for years, and I not even realised it. So obviously the great thing is I have awareness of it all now. And I was able to obviously work on it. In fact, I actually sat here where I am right now, and I did my adapted process for processing trauma, and sat here for half an hour processing it. So I'd gone for my walk, literally listening to my bilateral music, and I really thought about what it was that illness part was trying to protect me from. And what it was trying to protect me from was feeling alone, was feeling like a failure, and feeling rejected. That's what it was trying to protect me from. So that is what I had to process. That's what's essentially being encoded. So I had to work on that. Since I've worked on that to the extent I did, I have not had that thought since. This is why events that we experience today as adults are fundamentally as a result of what happens as children. And on the surface, people looking from the outside in, it may not seem traumatic. It may seem, I mean, obviously for, you know, a lot of people looking at Simone's life, they think, oh God, you've got a great life. You know, why would you want to give that up? But when it comes at the price of your mental health, and that pressure to please, that pressure to perform, that pressure to be a success is so intense, that is when the brain will switch off to protect you. And that's essentially what's happening with her. So, you know, she's forgetting to do those twists because her brain's associating, well, you being able to do those twists is causing you this pain. Well, I don't want you to feel this pain anymore, so I'm going to make it so you can't do them anymore. I'm going to make it so that you don't enjoy doing this anymore. So whereas mine was illness, hers was she just can't do those twists anymore. So well, there you go. So I mean, I don't really follow gymnastics at all. I've only just sort of glimpsed at this story because I've seen a few people talk about it. But there you go. I mean, it is quite common that in the gymnastics world, as I said before, it's gymnastics. I mean, it's similar to dancing as well. Dancing, you know, they can make them starve themselves. They can, because they've got, obviously, they can't, if they're too heavy, then they can't perform certain things. And they can even break their toes and their limbs, and there's loads of things that goes on in that world, and it's shocking. It's really shocking what goes on. You know, it is encouraged by the coaches, and it's encouraged by the parents as well. So I can see where she has where this has occurred, and it's no surprise to me whatsoever. Because I am living proof of the exact same thing. Obviously, I wasn't competing at the same standard as her. I actually would have if I'd continued. So whether that was what my brain was afraid of, was getting to that point. I don't know. So yeah, but it's there's a lot of pressure in the sporting world, and you know, these things nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, and nobody knows what stories a child attaches to something. But yeah, the brain will do these things as a means of protecting you. That is it, bottom line. It's all to protect you and keep you safe. You know, and a lot of people will think that, well, you know, she's walked away from a really good career, but you know, it's, you know, to her brain that was safer. That was safer than feeling what she was feeling. That pressure of achieving a certain standard of success. It was too painful to bear. So yeah. So anyway, I thought I'd just share that little bit of a story with you. Because say it's so relevant, so prevalent to me. It's all valid. Yeah, it is. I say, I mean, it isn't the whole part. There's lots of layers, as we've spoken about, Helen. There's lots of layers, but I know a big part of that was when I was running, and certainly that's where the connection of being successful, needing to be successful, I mean, God, I even remember saying to my friend when I first got with my ex, if I don't get the business going soon, I'm going to have to break up with him. I remember saying those words. And so that's how deeply that belief goes. And that stems from when I was running. That's the only place that stems from. I wasn't really put under pressure in terms of academic expectation. I mean, yeah, you know, of course, my mum and dad wanted me to be, academic, but there was that pressure wasn't there. The pressure was there with the athletics side of things. That's where the pressure came on to be successful. And there'll always be a reason why somebody behaves in the way that they do. So of course, in my dad's case, he wasn't doing it to me. He was doing it to protect himself, because it was opening up a wound within him, because he felt aggrieved because his mother stopped him from going and playing rugby for England, because she didn't want him to leave home. So he was basically living his dream through me. And when he went in with himself, it was him, that little boy, wounded and reliving his trauma again. And the same will apply to coaches that are that put pressure on the people that they train. Don't forget, they're not competing themselves, so there'll be a wound within them that they're trying to soothe and fulfill, and they're fulfilling their dreams through the people that they're coaching and training. So it's like they're reliving their own past, their own achievements again through other people's eyes. And when they don't achieve something, it really hits hard with themselves. So it always goes back to the same thing. It's never ever about you. It's about their wounds, what they're trying to soothe in themselves. And I say it's so common with coaches. That's for that reason. If you only have to sort of think of my dad. In fact, my dad used to coach people to learn badminton. So my dad did a lot of sport. So he was my dad used to would go out, take me out training as well. If I wasn't competing on a weekend, which most weekends I was competing, but if there was a weekend I wasn't competing, obviously I wouldn't have any training on a weekend with the club and my coach. So he would take me out training. So I suppose he was my a add-on coach, I suppose. Well, yeah, Helen, exactly. You had that with your dance teacher, didn't you? Yeah, you had the same pressure with your dance teacher, so you can kind of relate to it as well. So it's, and you know how it's affected you. It's just so common. It really is common. This is why I am not keen. I mean, it's like Sophia wants to do, she keeps saying she wants to do ballet, but what worries me is that she wants to do it she ends up wanting to compete and things like that. That's what worries me, because I've been there and I know what it's like. And of course, my youngest brother went to dance and drama, a school that was big into dance and drama. And a lot of the dancers there ended up going to dance professionally and what have you. And the stories he used to tell me about them are shocking. I mean, they'd be sticking their fingers down their throat, making themselves sick. starving themselves to death. I mean, it was horrendous the stories he'd come home with. The teachers would tell them they're fat. It was just shocking. But yeah, so it is something I'm very conscious of with Sophia. I don't want to discourage her, but I don't want to encourage her either. Just because I've heard so many horror stories around that world. Unless she was with a dance teacher that I knew I could trust. She did some ballet at our old school, and the teacher, I mean, she's lovely, Miss Jessica, and she's not like that at all, but she doesn't teach that age group anymore. So yeah, I don't know who else has come on. I say I'm going to jump off in a minute, so if you catch the replay, but yeah, so if you're interested in this Simone story, you'll find this of interest anyway, because it's something I can personally relate to. Hiya, Jan. So that's my little story. Well, not so much little, but it's quite a big story. Anyway, everybody, I thought I'll nip off now. I've got quite a busy day today. For anybody who's interested, by the way, I have I know, Helen, you've already registered for it, haven't you? I'm doing a little workshop on the 12th in the morning at 10:30, and I'm going to take you through some resilience building exercises that you can use not only just for yourself but with your children as well. It'll help you to understand where you are within your nervous system, where your children are within their nervous system, and that is the hardest thing, because when they are, it's very hard to understand why they are reacting and behaving in the way that they can do when they are in fight flight, or they've dropped further down the ladder to freeze. So once they've calmed down, as I will explain this obviously better in the workshop, but once they've calmed down, you can use this tool that I've created, this visual, to sit down and talk to them about how, and they are very responsive. Well, Sophia is anyway. She's very, and people I've given it to who have used it with their children have said their kids are very responsive to this tool that I've put together, this visual. They know instantly what they mean. So you can ask them, where are you on this ladder? And then ask them, well, why do you feel like that? What's happened that's made you feel like that? And even when they're not in a stressed state, you can talk to them about the different emotions and the different steps in the ladder, and what sort of things are they feeling at the different stages, and what sort of events bring about those emotions, because if you can sit down with them ahead in advance to find out what sort of things gets them at different stages, once they've calmed down, and you can say, okay, so where are you on the ladder now, and they show you, instantly what they need from you. It's a really, really helpful tool, and I say Sophia now, she'll come in from school and she said, Mummy, do you know where I am on the ladder? I'm here. So it's a really good way for them to get them used to understanding their own nervous system, and knowing what they need to push them back up the emotion regulatory ladder, back to safety, back to feeling safe and secure. So I'm going to. So obviously, if you register for this workshop, you'll get a visual for an adult version and a visual for a children's. I've got two children's versions actually, which I will give you. Just obviously, I mean, actually, the comments that some children have said, some of the older children have said that have looked at it. Have said that one of them is one that you would generally tend to use in a school setting, and the other one is more childlike fun, I suppose, because I'm using emojis and things like that. So, but you know, they're both there to use, whichever one they prefer and they respond to best. And a little guided meditation exercise, which again you can adapt for your children as well, and take them through that process as well as yourself. So everybody's happy and regulated, which is where we want to be. So if you want what I'll do is I'll post in the comments the link to that workshop, the registration. I won't post the link to the event thing. I really don't like the Facebook event setup, you know, because nobody can find the links. It's just not very clear. So what I'll do is I'll put the link to the messenger chat sign up, which will then enable me to send out a reminder as well, and there's a link to the group. I mean, those of you that are in my group already will already be in there, but if you still sign up to register as well via the messenger bot thing, it will give you access to those PDFs in there, which I will obviously walk you through how to use on the workshop. But you've got them there obviously to start and, you know, see if you can analyse them yourself. You know, maybe give them to your kids and see what they can translate them as. So it's something you can be doing whilst you're waiting for the workshop to start. So that is planned for the 12th at 10:30. I say I'll post the link for you to register on the ManyChat link. Okay. Oh, thank you, darling. I am. Yes, I'm trying. I've got. I'm a guest on somebody's in somebody's group tomorrow. I think potentially tomorrow as well. I might be a guest on somebody's podcast. And I'm trying to get lots of other sort of guest speaking things to us, obviously raise awareness, because obviously I've got my book launch in January. So I need to really build my audience and build awareness and everything ready for the book launch. So if anybody knows of any groups that I could be a guest and talk about my mission and my book launch, and I mean, I can obviously focus it on any topic really around mental health, and how obviously trauma affects different areas of our life. I mean, obviously it affects imposter syndrome, it affects our illnesses, it brings about illnesses, again, all the things that I can sort of connect to personally. So if anybody knows of any groups or any podcasts that are looking for guests, point them my way. It will be much appreciated. Anyway, ladies, I am going to jump off now. I'm going to love you and leave you. And I shall catch you all again on another live, I guess. Have a good day, everybody. The Try Carry Green Female-preneur group. Can you send me the link for that, honey? Are you in there, are you, the Carry Green? What's it, yeah, send me, message me and just tell me what the group's about, what it does. Well, obviously Femalepreneur is on an entrepreneur group, isn't it? But yeah, if you could just yeah, send me a link to it, that would be great, honey. Okay, thank you girls, bye.